Hey everyone, I was talking with Giuseppe earlier and thought it might not be a bad idea to put together a in the bag video. Just want to show you what I'm currently have in my bag, what I'm currently throwing, and maybe it'll give you an idea of what you can put in your bag. And please, if you get a chance, do a little in the bag video yourself. I'd love to know what you're throwing. It always gives me great ideas, maybe the next disc. So I'll start with putters and move my way up from there. So I putt with Gateway's Voodoo, super soft. I know a few of you do as well. I have two of them. I have my original pink Voodoo. I've got an ace with this one, my only ace with it in a round, and my black Voodoo. Both of these a little overstable. They've got nice amount of glide. They're really nice in the hand. I like the soft plastic, especially in lots of crazy conditions that you can play in. They're good when it's wet, it's cold, when it's hot. Just love the Voodoo. Really great kind of anything 45 feet and in, and definitely in the circle I'm putting out this. Moving on, I also have a Judge putter, which is a beaded putter. This is also in a classic lens. It's kind of soft, but got a lot more glide than my Voodoo. So definitely for longer putts, jump putts. Also has will hold a little bit more anhyzer, so it's great for those annuals as well. Moving up from there into more of the approach category, I've got my Harp from Westside in BT medium plastic. This is definitely my overstable approach disc. So whether I'm shooting into wind or I need that sort of predictable fade at the end, the Harp is definitely my go-to. And then my other approach disc is a MVP Eclipse Proton Glow plastic Access, which is technically a mid-range driver, but it's really slow. Doesn't have that much speed. I think it's maybe a 3 or 4 speed. So it's really just much more of an approach disc than a true traditional mid-range. It definitely kind of falls off at the end. It doesn't have that kind of glide. However, it's incredibly stable. It really just holds any line I put it on. So if I put it on a little Annie, it will hold that. If I shoot it straight, it'll definitely hold straight. This disc has probably helped me the most with my form. In terms of when I know when this disc goes straight, I know that I've thrown the disc correctly, and it's really helped me correct my form. So definitely an awesome disc. Moving up from there into the actual mid-range discs, so I still throw a Buzz. It was one of the first mid-range discs I picked up, and while this isn't my OG, I've lost a couple. Still love throwing a Buzz. It's really reliable. This isn't the big Z plastic, which I really, really like. Nice and flexible, but really kind of holds its form. It'll take a little bit of wind, not tons of wind, but definitely a reliable disc that I use for lots of different shots, especially if I need to shape a shot. Moving up from there, I used to throw rocks, DX rocks, and I still have a few, and I practice with them. But I've moved, and I throw most of the time this Champion X Rock 3, which is still a mid-range rock, but it's a little bit more domey, a little bit more glide, and it's in this Champion plastic, which is kind of nice too. So I've been using this a lot more. It has tons of glide, so it's really great for controlling kind of downhill shots. Just really excellent. Also, the other reason I don't bag rocks anymore is because I bag two Westside Warships as my main mid-range. This is a very fast mid-range. It's a speed 6, but I found that for me, that when it came to mid-ranges, I really wanted to work more on my approach game and getting that better. So I have really discs that are for that approach range and discs that are for true mid-range for me and just wanted something fast. So I have one here. This purple one's in a VIP plastic. This one is definitely more beat in and is understable. So if I want to shoot it straight, I definitely have to put it on hyzer, and it will hyzer flip up to straight. Otherwise, if I throw it straight, about 150 feet into its flight, it will start to turn. It will hold that turn all the way. The other one, this red one here, is in tournament plastic. Has a little bit more give to it, but is actually a little bit more stable towards the overstable side. I don't need to put it on much as a hyzer flip. So just kind of two different wears of mid-range. Moving on to Fairway Drivers, I carry two. So I carry this Anova Star Leopard. I got this Leopard early on. I know some of you throw Leopards as well. I absolutely love it. Definitely a go-to fairway driver, and a disc that I'd recommend to anyone getting started with disc golf. It's an awesome way to get into just driving distance drivers, even though it's a fairway driver. This one in Star Plastic has really held its stability well. I consistently get great shots out of this and very straight shots. So it's a great disc in the woods when you're looking for those launch. And then my other fairway driver is this MVP Volt in Neutron plastic. Very, very overstable, much more than the Leopard. In fact, when I first bought it, I didn't even really like it because it would just hyzer out all the time. However, as I've gotten better, and as I've played more and more in different conditions, I love the Volt, especially when playing into wind. If you release this on a true flat angle, it doesn't matter how hard that headwind's coming at you, it will not turn out. It will not fly away on you. It will hold that straight flight the entire time, even into a strong headwind, which I really, really like. So while I don't pull it out a ton, I do when I definitely pull it. Moving on there to control drivers. So I have a Star Valkyrie. I know a lot of you throw Valkyries as well. Definitely sort of my understable to stable kind of control driver out there at 9-speed. Definitely very reliable. I use this a lot in the woods. I also use this quite a little bit as a forehand disc as well. I find it's just really, really reliable. I can get it straight for 2 to 250 feet, and then it gets this reliable fade. And then in terms of my other control driver, I have a Champion Thunderbird, which is quite a bit more overstable than the Valkyrie, but not unlike that Volt. I use it in a very similar fashion where as long as I release it on that straight line into a headwind, there's just no way this is going to turn out. It will really fight and stay stable in the wind and then have that fade no matter how long and hard that headwind is. A great disc for me. From there, we move into all my distance drivers. And for me, I don't have a ton of arm speed yet. We're getting faster. But I still throw almost everything in sort of that 11 speed range, or if it's a little faster, it's pretty beat-in at this point. So we'll start with my newest disc, actually, which is an Axiom Insanity in their Proton plastic. And this is has actually the same flight characteristics, supposedly, as the Anova Wraith, which I also throw. But I just picked this up just to give it a try, and I actually really, really like it. It throws very, very similar to the Wraith. It has a slightly smaller rim, which I kind of enjoy, but just really feels good in the hand, has nice bendable plastic. This, when I release it, flat, with a bunch of power, it'll turn a little bit, and then will, slightly come back at the end. Not a very, very strong fade, just not as strong as the Wraith. So if it's definitely not as windy out, I'll probably go with this one. A little bit more wind is when I step up to it. And I currently bag 2 Wraiths. So I bag a DX Wraith, which is probably the first one I started with after I kind of stepped up from a Valkyrie. Really, really great disc, and because it's DX plastic, it's beat in really well. So this is definitely my more understable of my Wraiths. So if I'm throwing this into any kind of decent headwind, I'm going to expect some turn, but eventually some fade at the end. I just have to make sure I either power down a little bit, or just make sure I don't put it on too much of, say, an anhyzer too straight, maybe a little hyzer. And then I have this awesome Pro plastic Wraith that I picked up used. It's really fantastic. It's been beat in well, but because it's Pro plastic, it's held its form a little bit more than, say, the DX Wraith. So this is like my perfect driver right now. In fact, I'm getting a lot of my max distance shots with this Pro Wraith. Pretty, I can always get over 300, and then usually getting out to 350. I do bag one destroyer. It's actually a Champion destroyer. I bought it right when I started playing disc golf because I was watching disc golf videos on YouTube and a bunch of people throwing destroyers, so I thought I had to have one. I definitely, just kept hyzering it over and over and over for about a year before I even really learned how to throw it. But in that time, it also started getting beat in too, which was nice and getting more understable. Now, especially into a strong headwind, this is a great distance driver where I can still get reliably, 300 feet of distance with my arm speed into a headwind, which is awesome. So I'll use this a lot when it's windy out. If I'm not, say, using that Thunderbird, looking for maybe a little bit more distance. From there on to my other distance drivers that I use quite a bit, which are the Vibram laces, both in a medium rubber, and they are rubber, not plastic, and I really like that about them. They just feel really great in the hand. They hold their shape well. They take beatings like you would not believe. I've had this lace for 3 years. It hits tons of trees and not a single ding in it. The rubber just really holds up well. However, between the two of them, because this one is about 2 years older, even though they're the same disc, this one is a little bit more understable now, which is kind of nice. This is also one of my lighter discs. Most of my discs here are all max weight, between 173 and 175. This one's actually a 168, so it doesn't do as well in the wind because it's a little more overstable than some of the other stuff in my bag. It actually fights back well. So this lace just absolutely crushed. In fact, I only ever recorded 400-foot throw during a round with this lace is newer. It's also a little heavier at 168 grams, but I wanted to have that second lace just because I love throwing these so much. So I've started to condition my bag, and when it's a little windier out, I don't maybe have the comfortability with this one. Last but not least, in my bag, I actually have an Anova G-Star Shrike. Kind of interesting. I don't normally throw or bag a lot of 13-speed discs, even though I practice with some of them, but the Shrike is a great utility disc for a lot of different things. For me, I'll use it for rollers. I'll use it for some crazy, forehand shots or get it at dodge shots. But more often than not, I'm using this if there's a crazy tailwind. Because it's such an understable, fast distance driver, if I've got a strong tailwind behind me, if I just release this in a straight angle, this thing will go for ages. Just straight forever. And I absolutely love it because of that. It's also really good for forehand flicks through the woods, because you can create some really nice S shots. Plus, the G-Star plastic is probably the most flexible out there. Can take a real beating. So that's what I have in my bag. A few more things you should know about. My bag itself is a dynamic disc soldier bag. Holds about 20 discs. You could pack probably a few more in there, but that's what I have in there today, and that's what I go with. On to what I actually keep in the bag. So in this pocket here, I keep chapstick, eye drops, and actually silicone sandpaper. It's really nice, the fact that it's a plastic back, so it's really flexible. And I can use this, especially with, say, DX plastic or Star Plastic, if I do get a ding or a burr from hitting a tree, I can quickly sand it out without really changing the flight characteristics. So I picked that up off the tip off of Reddit. It's really, really helped. Keep my wallet in this pocket too. And then in this pocket, kind of interesting, I actually keep a battery backup for my cell phone. And I actually keep an older iPhone in here. It doesn't have a SIM card anymore, but still has all my apps, and I'll download a lot of my music, like Spotify, for offline listening and stuff like that. The plus there is, I've got tons of backup music, especially if I don't have data for streaming in the area. But more importantly, it creates a better Bluetooth connection because my speakers in the bag right here, or other speakers or booms that people might be carrying with us, don't have to say, compete with working through my body if my phone's in my other phone's in my pocket. So it's a really great way of just not having your notifications hit your Bluetooth speakers, all that kind of stuff, and it just increases the range. And that gets me to the speakers themselves. So I bag UE booms, and I actually have extras that I bring with me, and I have buddies that bring them too, so we can kind of party them up. You can actually add 150 of these things together. It really is awesome to all be carrying speakers to bags, be playing kind of tunes synced up together. So I carry a mega boom and a regular boom in my bag, but I also have a few others that will party up together that sound absolutely fantastic. So that's my in the bag. Hope you enjoy, and I hope to see yours soon.